Hi, this is Stephanie Gordon at Gordon Property Management in San Francisco, and I have just put away all of my Thanksgiving leftovers, which means that we are now coming into the slow rental season here in San Francisco. And so I want to talk a little bit about pricing your apartment, single family home, condominium, whatever you have coming up for rent in really, say the next 3 months, December, January, February, and even into March 2019, because San Francisco is a great market, and we always manage to rent things up in the holiday season and these winter months, but it's slower. It has always been slower. And what we're seeing now, not just in San Francisco, but really on a national level, is that the rental market is really slowing down. I was recently in October, I was at a NARPM convention in San Diego. NARPM is the National Association for Real Property Managers. And so there were property managers from all across the country at this conference, and kind of a constant theme at the workshops and at the bar afterwards was, what's going on in the rental market? Things seem to be slowing down, prices are coming down. Those of my colleagues who did rentals as well as real estate sales were really feeling the slowdown in the sales market, and I think we've even seen some articles in the paper recently about the slowdown in real estate sales. That nationwide home builders are offering trips to Hawaii and other incentives for people to buy homes, and so, the rental market and the sales market aren't always in sync, but often when there's a slowdown in one, there is a slowdown in another. And one of the most interesting workshops I attended at the NARPM conference was put on by an economist from Zillow, talking about primarily the rental market, and what has been going on and what seems to be going on. And she was very clearly seeing a slowdown in the short term, not necessarily the long term, but in the short term. And in fact, she had graphs of what was going on, and she used several different cities as examples, and San Francisco happened to be one of them. And her graph clearly showed 2015 was the peak of the market, and that things went down from there and then up and down and then up and down, but an overall trajectory down, which is exactly what we've seen at Gordon Property Management. 2015 was the absolute peak of the rental market, where there was just such a lack of supply, so many people moving into San Francisco for jobs. All we needed to do to market a unit was to have a warm body standing at the door and, handing out business cards and collect applications online. And then things changed in the winter holiday season 2015 moving into 2016. And, we would see a bump and we'd kind of get excited and things were going up, and then they'd kind of go back down again. And what we're really seeing now is that prices have dropped. Some people are saying it's a 10% price drop, from exactly when. I don't know what that means, but there's been a significant price drop in San Francisco and the entire Bay Area. I had lunch recently with some colleagues of mine who have property management companies in the Santa Rosa area. And, we had horrible fires there a year ago, and there wasn't nearly enough housing to go around, but they're seeing their prices go down in Santa Rosa. So if you have a vacancy coming up in San Francisco in the, say through March of 2019, and you want to get it rented and you don't want it to sit on the market for 3 months, you have to be very, very price conscious about what you're asking for that home, because it's just not what you got a year ago, let alone, 2 or 3 years ago. If you need help pricing your property, at Gordon Property Management, we use a report that we run. It's called a rent facts report, and we find it really very, very accurate, and it'll give a curve and a range of where to price a property. And obviously, and it's by square footage, it's by bedrooms, by bathrooms, it's by location, and the properties that have the more desirable layout, the more desirable amenities in a given neighborhood will go for more than a somewhat tired property in with a not as desirable of a layout. But we've been using it for several years now, and we find it very accurate. And even properties that I've seen where I've thought, oh, this is so much nicer than what RentFax is telling us, and we put it on the market higher, we end up coming down and running it basically at the high end of what the RentFax report was showing us. So we really do believe in those reports. We think they're very accurate. Having said that, we're willing to try a little bit on the high side, but in this market, really and truly, trying too high and too high for too long just isn't really going to get you anywhere. So whether you're listing your property for rent with us or you're doing it yourself, I really encourage you, go to Zillow. Zillow's a great site, or go to Craigslist, go to another site, and with a really objective eye, look at what the other comparable properties are out there, and it'll say days on market. So if you see something that's renting for $5,000 and it's been on the market for 90 days, that's not a comp. Nobody's renting it at that price. So really look realistically at your how your property compares to other properties. And if ever you've been thinking about upgrading your property, now's the time to do it, because it will put you ahead of other properties. If the paint is tired, if the flooring's tired, if the appliances are tired, it's going to sit there. And I constantly say you want to improve your property to the best that you could get it, particularly rent-controlled properties, because you're going to be with that tenant for a very, very long time. You do not want a tenant who doesn't care what the paint is like. You do not want a tenant who doesn't care if the appliances are old and crappy. That is not a tenant that is going to take care of your property. And let's face it, in San Francisco, a lot of our tenants are high-end. They make a lot of money. They work very, very hard. They have very, very high expectations. And they're not going to move into an apartment that's kind of dinged up. A lot of the competition out there, a lot of what has brought our prices down in the last number of years, is all of the new inventory that's come online. All of those condos down south of Market, all those cranes that you saw all over San Francisco 3-4 years ago, those units are now all online. They're brand spanking new. They've got washer dryers in the unit. They've got all of the amenities that today's millennials and today's young renters in San Francisco want. So be careful how you price your property, particularly in the next 3 or 4 months here. I haven't got a crystal ball. I can't tell you what spring 2019 is going to look like, but right now at the end of 2018 and as we move into 2019, we're facing a rather soft rental market. And if you need help with your rental, we'd be happy to come meet with you. We offer a free RentFax report for those properties that qualify. So give us a call. We'd love to talk to you.